Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and I'm joined by BZ Rieger um, today. And this is a bit of a departure actually for us. I mean, so most of and these are almost always conversations. So, but actually, we're going to do something a little different. BZ, you started putting out a series of videos, fear and knowing. And I put out a video where I recorded Magenta Pixie's words, and I have felt a lot of different things, and you actually alluded to this too, that there's it's sort of a call that's kind of gone out. It's actually your words, and it is from the collective who don't know. And I'm doing it like that because, you know, what I now see, sense, and feel is that we really are multidimensional, but it's the little portions of the collective that don't know or have not allowed themselves to see, sense, and feel what's really going on here. Apparently, my phone agrees. So, and I know myself, anytime someone asks questions, whenever we used to call it red pilling. I know you like to use the term love pilling. It feels almost, for me, or at least now, um, I want to give all the information that I can, but it's also so very overwhelming.
Yes.
So I guess maybe, some of the question, I mean, I don't have the question why now this is arising. I know why now, because just like you said, it is a portion of the collective that they can sense and really feel and actually really see too, that this doesn't, what is going on the 3D stage right now is so confusing, with the beer virus, as you've termed it. Doesn't make a lot of sense to most folks who are not in the know, who haven't been following the plan with Q and the conspiracy theories, but they can see, sense, and feel that something is kind of incongruent, really.
Right.
And so I wanted to talk. I guess what part of me wanted to ask you. I mean, I know why you're doing this, but from a 3D perspective, how would you go about? Is that what we're gonna speak on here? I'm not even sure.
Well, how would you go about telling everybody that everything is not as they see or had thought it was? And why also is there this urgency, right? This moment, or this push, this rush, this asking for an underlayer, an undercurrent of asking for this right now?
I do see it. I have to be honest with you. As I said, I have said many times, I get asked to join all kinds of different groups. It used to be where you could just put someone in groups. And so I see there are a lot of, so I know the urgency in which you're speaking on. There does feel to be a lot of what I would term newbies in the waking up community, who can see, sense, and feel that something is awry, not the official narrative.
Right.
And with everyone being at home, not everyone is hanging on every word like I am. However, there are some who I feel are
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to the press conferences And there's a lot of conferences. There's a lot of, just a whole lot, I feel like folks could learn just from watching these press conferences.
Right.
Again, kind of press there. They've earned that term, fake news.
Right.
But so I feel like that is where that urgency is coming from, is the collective, even though they may
Right.
not even realize it. So I know that you've been getting this urgent feel yourself, and that you're being, guided. We've talked about your production meetings that you've been having. So I don't know, how would you handle this for, let's get down to brass tacks here, because I know that there are a lot of way showers that want to help, but I know for me, it seems you don't want to overwhelm folks either.
Right. And where do you start?
Yeah, because everything, all of us, including those of us that have been looking at this for a long time, none of it is easy to look at, and I've become very suspicious, to be honest with you, of a lot of things that we see out there. And I think that might be one of the reasons it's so imperative for folks to use all of what you described, your sensory array, all of your body, all of your attention. When folks speak, why do they say things in a certain way, that sort of thing. So because all of it is data. So
one of the things that came up when you were, mentioning that you're paying attention to the different pressors and all these kinds of things, and people have more time, and maybe they are as well, because they're kind of slowed down, they're off the regular rhythm. And one of the things that came through really clearly at that moment was people are having their own pressors. So there's a press conference going on right here in them, because they're out of the routine, because they're going, well, what's up with that? What's going, and there's silence. There's, they've been busy in the past doing this, that, and the other thing, and the brakes have been put on. So that's a component. For me, one of the things is that urgency. I feel it on both sides. I feel, for me, there's kind of a ramping up of a request for me to ramp up more of the more someone called it, Magenta called it, a quick crash course, and in short bites, because it is overwhelming, and they're already looking at what's out there. If they start out there looking, it's like, it's completely different. It's kind of like going out after a tornado has happened, and you're like, well, what happened? Where did everything go, and what's going on? So small bites is a good thing, and I keep asking, thinking, well, I've got different little bites, and some go with the linear, some go with spiritual, because to me, it's you can't see the linear if you're not using your own multidimensionality and your guide to decode it for you. But if you have never thought, don't even know what multidimensionality is, okay, well, how do you do that? So it's kind of the back and the forth. And so one of the things that I settled on is the core of you, that you're the expert, and that if you don't think it all to death, you just meet it. Whatever it is, you hear something, you read something, you watch something, you talk to somebody, and you just meet it for a moment and notice it. And if you keep thinking about coming from an open heart, coming from, however you would describe it, the sense of knowing, that's going to help you a lot. And you'll be surprised. I would really wager that everybody will be surprised how fast that comes on board, because that kind of mandated pause or slowing down is occurring in various ways all over the planet. It doesn't matter what geographic location you're in.
Right.
And those pressers that are happening with you, never mind, somebody else at a podium someplace.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up in the way that you did. I do feel like that is, for me, has always been part of the conundrum, is that, it's all one huge piece, and, it's difficult to break it out to this over here and leave, the conspiracy, even in, okay, perfectly, in that you have theory piece and you have the spirituality piece, and folks, don't think that they mix. Well, not only do they absolutely mix, but that's even the bigger portion of the story, actually. Because just with everything else, you can't have, it's all tied together,
right,
in such a very huge way.
And the conspiracies, what they're the conspiracy theories, which is the company line from the CIA, they can't arrive. You can't have them to be decoding what's behavior, system structures, and strata of what's going on for different activities. They do not occur without the quantum, without the multidimensional, because that's what they're grounded on. They're grounded on that kind of energy and that frequency and that use of maybe a simple way to say nonlinear or otherworldly type things that may be thought of as woo-woo. Well, they're experts in all of that, and that's why these things that are becoming transparent and are in many cases unimaginable, that's why they exist. But it's just the norm, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense. And well, at least it does to me. And it's, I think, why, again, for me, it was because we've talked about this in other conversations. I cut my teeth on the conspiracy theory corruption piece, and I had no clue or interest, quite frankly, in the spiritual aspects until, well, until I started having, some experiences, and they're just, it's there, and it's a lot. So both sides are used to being discounted, or oh, that's woo-woo, or oh, that's conspiracy theory, and that has been done absolutely on purpose.
Yes.
So that, because once one does realize that it is all interconnected and interwoven, that does make a huge difference. So in the I'm getting a lot of stuff right this second, so I'm not sure how to it feels to me like wow, having a way to have those be meshed for everyone in some easy way, which I know I'm sitting here going, yeah, well, like there's no easy way. That's what I wanted when we first started this,
right.
if you recall. just quit talking in riddles and give me the answer. Although we've also spoken on the fact that things are going to be happening very quickly for folks, and this is exactly why you've gotten that
Right.
urgency, because
Yes, because if they're, so to speak to that for a minute, if people are looking out there and they're thinking, oh my gosh, this whole virus and the world and our things are scary and chaotic and disjointed, and what the hell is going on, and are we ever going to get back to normal? You know, when is it going to? Are we going to? Right? That's a whole conversation on its own. And I feel that. I mean, I have beings around me where that's very evident. You know, and then, you know, out in the larger community that I have, and I think, well, if this is their frame of reference, that is just linear, and they're looking and feeling this and already, you know, about to go off the deep end from choosing fear because they're uncertain, they don't understand what's going on, they don't see what's going on, and then the next, and they're still in that, and the next waves of things come forward, which they will, nothing will stop them, they're coming, of transparency, of information, of unfolding, and they're already, and that is their base, right? Then it's like being hit with a tsunami. And from my heart, it's not necessary. A lot of that can be alleviated. Yes, they have chosen up to now not to look around, not to tune into their heart, not to pay attention. Okay, well, that was what it was. And they may still choose, and that's their choice. Absolutely. It's not about, you know, pushing or forcing anything on. But here's another, but this call has come from them, whether they on a linear level understand it or not, it has come. And so if we can all step forward to answer that in our own ways, and we're all, you know, masterfully and muddlingly trying to figure out what that looks like and how to do it, it's going to be really helpful for them and what's going on, to answer those questions. And maybe it is as simple as moving from one to the other. So striking that balance, if you're having a piece and conversation for just a few minutes, 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that, and you flow a bit from one to the other. You don't give all the data. You don't talk fully in quantum language or energetic or all that kind of stuff. You don't go down huge rabbit holes. You just, you know, reminding them to tune into themselves, and then giving them bits of data, bits of information, a feeling of this and that, and the overall feeling of, we are in this together and things are changing, and even though they may be uncertain or unknown, people can genuinely pick up on how confident and calm and excited that all of the beings are who are answering these call are to what is coming, you know, even though it seems like a pile of spaghetti all over the place.
well, yes, and I've seen in a lot of different groups too, where even those who have very little 3D linear conspiracy theory background, but have the spirituality piece, feel very calm. They don't you know, I because that's been of interest to me as well. I have seen the divide, that, you know, Magenta spoke on in the piece that I recorded, between the truther, you know, conspiracy and the spirituality, because there are those that are in the one that just can't see the spirituality piece and they're not interested in it. You know, there's a lot of still religious dogma in that particular portions of it. So this is all, spirituality is all frou frou woo woo BS. And those in the spirituality portion who have been waking up to themselves, that have no idea. Everybody knows there's something not right, systems are broken, those sort of things. But there are those that have been fully immersed in themselves and getting to trust themselves and whatnot, but had no idea of these other things. So I do see that separation there. And so I don't have the answer myself either as to exactly how. But I want to say to anyone out there who feels this urge, this call, the same as BZ does, the same as I myself have. I have several things that I have marked to record and share. So we are not the only ones who have these feelings to try to put out information to help. If you're not sure how, you can always get in touch with me at Conscious Conversation Central, and we can figure out how, if you're open to it. I want to say to everyone though, remaining open to all of what you see, and BZ talks about it, meeting it. And I say that too, only when you meet someone for the first time, generally you don't have a judgment about it. And so there are those who have heard some of the conspiracy that are in the spiritual and immediately have a judgment. And that's a closed door.
Right.
There's no way to open oneself if we are immediately saying, I've said this before, having a cup of coffee is not a commitment. Reading something and allowing the data to come into your field, seeing how it feels to you, those sorts of things on both sides of this, because it is interconnected in a huge way.
Yeah.
And by putting one over here and saying, oh, that's BS, and only using the one, that's half the puzzle. That's half the puzzle.
Right. And it's separating the holing that needs to go on within us. I think it's very interesting that Rose has come, because she doesn't come very often,
No, she doesn't.
and she's made a point that she has to get up on the chair now to be here for this conversation, and amplifying, bringing those pieces together, and the imperative that arises now for people to, because it's a meeting of both sides. It's a meeting of those who are awake and those who are not, and it in that imperative nature of that, it's erasing that. It's because that's another divide, isn't it?
Yes.
And so we're erasing that and saying, well, great, let's come together. And I think you'll find that people who come across it will go, well, wow, that's helpful. And the not, thinking, okay, well, you're a little goofy or whatever, that always used to be there, is gone, because they just look outside the door and go, whoa, wait a minute, maybe those nut jobs aren't so nut jobby, and and I kind of should have been listening for a long time, and this would be good to start to find my way through it.
Absolutely. For me, I can't even stress enough how there's an awful lot of data that gets missed with having a prejudgment
Yes.
in regards to whether it's a person, whether it's a subject. Everything is interconnected, and everyone is interconnected. And I have found that just by allowing the data, just by hearing it, watching it, seeing it, feeling into it, that's huge. That is absolutely huge. And paying close attention. I've watched every press conference. I'm watching the folks, their reactions, their wordings, all of these things. There's so much more going on here on so many levels.
Yes, there's so many, there are actually so many conversations going on at the same time. And, you know, you could look at a clip, you know, from say 1 minute to 3 minutes and say, okay, that's information. And that information, that clip is saying and speaking to this audience. Then take the exact same clip and saying that's imparting this information or this directive or this, we know, whatever it is, to another audience. So there, and it's happening every moment, whatever, everything's going on, people are signaling. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, a code breaking and code writing seminar all over the place. Well, I did want to keep this short, mostly because I have to go back to work. But what I would love to finish by saying is that if everyone, regardless of where they are and their knowing, can stay in their heart, and if you're watching this, some of the other things that are out there, some of the videos in the series that I'm doing, whatever it is, and you're already aware of that information, but you're wanting to have these kinds of conversations with other people, that may give you, you know, a little seed to start with. Either you give them the link to it, or something has come to you and mixed with your knowing from that, and you go, oh, well, that's a conversation starter, or that's just a little seed to plant here and there. So it's, again, that what we were just talking about with the pressers, it's a combination of information and threads and weaving of the story that you can start to impart, either for yourself because you've never heard any of this before, or because you have the same feeling of the same call, but you not quite sure how to do it. Maybe you got shut down a lot in the past from family or friends or whatever it is, and he thought, well, I'm never doing that again. Whatever, you know, that's happened to all of us a lot. But that's another sense of why it is so imperative that we do this on all of us as a collective, and with whatever individual focus that we have to the audience to bring it out.
Agreed, because every bit, every single, you know, when I first started doing this, these conversations Lisa and I would have, I wanted to record every single conversation we had because I felt as though this would be so helpful to just anyone and everyone. But the truth of the matter is, having the conversation puts it in the field.
Yes.
I now know that. So having just even the desire to broach the subject and acting on it in whatever sort of way, even just the smallest of ways, help just amplifies it in the field.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming and doing this. It's odd for me to do this so quickly, as you know.
I know.
I feel like we just but I want to say to everyone, BZ, this series that she's doing, I think it's a great series. Let's get it out there and share it around for everyone. If you have not already subscribed to Conscious Conversation Central, I would love it if you would do so and give it a thumbs up. And also, if you're watching this on Conscious Conversation Central and not on BZ Rieger's channel, there will also be a link in the Show More section of this video where you can just go straight to BZ's channel and also subscribe over there, as we both do videos that do not end up on each other's channels. And the series of conversations that she's speaking to right here are some of those that are not on my channel. So be sure to go over there and subscribe over there, and make sure to hit that notification bell, because also that's the other thing, is we're doing a lot more lives. And so if you want to be notified, make sure to hit that notification bell and hit the like button. So we getting those algorithms, because it's my understanding they're changing that around some over there. So thank you, BZ, for taking a moment to come and chat.
Yeah, thanks everybody.